There are millions and millions of dental products out there, and you can't expect your practice to own each and every single one of them.
This box contains over £3,000 worth of dental materials that we've compiled over the past 2 years, having gone to so many different courses and through practicing dentistry.
We carry this box with us to all the practices we work at. I have my box, he has his own. Let's show you what's inside. Alright guys, so let's get into it. We basically just have this one box here because we both buy the same things. The first thing that we always keep is our retractors. So we got our plastic retractors and contrasters. We always take this out in the mornings usually because we take photos of pretty much everything that we like to do, and that gets set up next to the camera.
Usually we have that right at the top of the box because it gets taken out first. Let's go move on. Let's see what else we have here. We also have a front surface dental mirror. I always find that it's quite difficult to do endo, to do crown preps, to look at any of those little defects with a double-sided mirror. I always find that difficult, or a back-ended mirror.
And with loops, you usually get a reflection or like a double vision if you have the incorrect mirrors. So these front surface mirrors are really good. Next, I guess we have our kind of rubber dam setup. We usually use Isodam. It's our favorite brand. They're usually on offer and stuff. And we only use the heavy one, because with a heavy rubber dam sheet, we find that it inverts much better and it goes down to the neck of the tooth. And then I have this old Panavia box, but I basically inside it keep a whole bunch of clamps.
So for the clamps, we have the 12A and the 13A, and these are basically our main workhorses for molar teeth. We really like that they're both serrated, so they actually hold onto the teeth quite well. The difference between the 12A and the 13A is basically the side that you clip it on, with the longer side being on the buckle. The next clamp we have is the 8A clamp, and this is basically for really deep molar. It's a really deep molar clamp for deep lesions. Really goes down subgingivally and retracts the gingivae really well. We also have here the 8AD, where the arch goes slightly more distally, and it basically gives you a lot more space to work and for your handpiece to go more distally when you're working on that tooth. Next, we have the Hauler clamp. We both really like the Hauler clamp because you clip it onto a premolar and actually it retracts all the way so that you can work on that last distal tooth, and you're able to rubber dam clamp it as well and put a rubber dam all the way back to the last tooth and work on that tooth as well. Finally, we have the B4 clamp here, and the B4 clamp is used mainly for anteriors. It helps to retract both the gingivae and the rubber dam sheet, and it really goes nice and subgingivally. You can also use this in the posterior region if you're really trying to expose down into the margin of a deep cavity, for example, or if you're trying to expose margins for your onlay.
So to also help with the rubber dam, we also like to use the Oral-B Pro Expert floss. It's kind of like a PTFE floss, and we find that it works best when we're doing floss ties or just flossing down the rubber dam. Other flosses that we've used tend to frail a lot, so this is our favorite one to use. And compared to some other flosses, it doesn't spiral, so it comes out straight, whereas some of the other ones we've used, when you take it out, it's like in a spiral and you have to like flatten it. This one doesn't do that.
It's hard to maneuver almost.
Yeah, this is much nicer.
And manipulate. Okay, let's go next.
Let's put this to the side.
Okay.
I guess next thing for us to talk about is kind of all the bonding agents that we have. So we have quite a few different bonding systems. We have OptiBond FL, Clearfill SC2,
and G2 primer wherever it is somewhere.
Yeah, we've got G2 and we've got Scotch Bond.
Yeah.
Main reason why we have so many is different situations require different bond. We like to use Scotch Bond when we're repairing composites because it's got silane in it, so we can add composite to composite if we're repairing. I personally like to use G2 and Clearfill SE Bond 2, and I think you do as well for kind of if we're only etching enamel, because it self etches the dentine. We like to use it. Let's say I'm doing a really, really deep filling, it's close to the pulp. I prefer personally not to etch the dentine because it reduces the chances of causing pulpitis and dentine hypersensitivity. So I use that.
There's also the risk of like over etching as well.
Over etching, exactly. So we love those bonds. We also use OptiBond FL. It's the gold standard. Most fillings that we do, we use OptiBond FL. It's a really nice bond to work with.
Yeah, and we also like to use OptiBond FL if we're bonding onlays in with heated composite. With regards to the composites, we have loads at different practices, but usually wherever we travel, we like to walk around with a composite heater. I really like this one because it actually tells you the temperature that you're setting it at, and it also has the little holes which you can put your anesthetics, or you can even put your composite gun with the compule inside the gun, which is nice. And you can also put individual compules.
To kind of work with our composites, we have a liquid resin. We use a Signum, and it's a really nice one. It's clear, it doesn't have a color. It just means the instrument doesn't stick to the composite. We don't use a whole lot of this. If you use too much of it, it can interfere with the composite material and the bond strength. So only a very little amount on the final layer, basically.
With regards to composite, we also have the ALMA instrument, and we also have the IPCL. We both learned how to use these in the Mini Smile Makeover. If you've not watched our Mini Smile Makeover vlog, then we'll put a little card here.
So I guess on the topic of the other courses we've been on, this is the sandblaster that I got from the Atik Rahman posterior onlay course. So he gives a sandblaster. He doesn't always do it, so by the time you guys do the course, maybe he doesn't give it out anymore. But it's a really good sandblaster. I love using it. It's got water and the powder at the same time, so it's nice and clean.
And I've used it as well. It's really nice and strong. So actually, it's a really good sandblaster. Next, I'll move on to a completely different field in dentistry. I think I've actually only got these ones. And that's because I'm into extractions. I really like this 3mm curved luxator. And then the other one is a 5mm curved luxator. I've also got a 2mm straight, but it's in autoclave right now, so not with us. I think the other nice thing about having these luxators, because of course there are loads of luxators that all these different practices, but actually the nice thing about these is that they're so sharp and they're really able to create that application point. And I feel like I've got a lot more control over the tooth when I use them.
So next, let's move on to some of the random stuff we use for occlusion. So first of all, we have a couple of leaf gauges. This is the Huffman leaf gauge. It's plastic and it's got all the numbers for each leaf. So you can count how many leaves that the patient is biting on. We use this when we're doing Michigan splints. We also use Duralay. This is the Duralay 1. We learned all of this from the occlusion course that we did part of our ACE diploma. We use this to create Lucia jigs, and that gets sent to the lab alongside with a face bow and impressions and things to be able to make a Michigan splint. And of course, when we're doing mouth rehabilitation, I mean, we don't do that many of those cases, but whenever we do have them, we use that if we're reorganizing the bite, basically.
The next thing to talk about, here we have some impression compound. These are those red or brown cakes that you can use. I especially use it when I'm making complete dentures, and I use it in the primary stage or the primary impression stage.
We also both have poly-F. We use this to temporize our onlays. It's a really nice material. If you use generic temporary materials like temp bond, onlays will not stick on, so you need something like poly-F to keep your onlays on. Fantastic material for that.
We also have 12 micron articulating paper. This is really good at really finding accurately where the restoration is touching, because it's so thin.
So you can be more precise with your adjustments, basically.
Yeah.
We also have our lovely Dentistry in a Nutshell burr kit. So this burr kit is made by Dr. Nicola Gore, and it's a fantastic burr kit. It's got 30 burrs in it. We're going to be releasing a whole nother video on this burr kit anyways. It has pretty much all the burrs that I use on a daily basis. So watch out for the other video on this one.
So we actually forgot a couple things for the composite. We're obviously investing loads into doing posterior, anterior fillings, composite bonding and that kind of thing. Here we have the composite polishing Flexi Disc Mini pack. It has loads of different polishing discs and buffs and polishing points. We also have a quick matte flex. I think this was taught in the Style Italiano anterior composite course. We also use it for posterior composites, especially on molars, because of its really nice double curved shape. And finally, the matrix bands, we have some auto matrices. These are really nice. They are disposable, so one use. And these are the bands that we use when we basically can't use sectional, or sectional is a bit difficult in that particular moment. So it's a really nice backup. Finally, the wedges for composites. We've got the Horse Sycamore interdental wedges. We've got loads of different sizes and different colors. I really like the orange one the most. The orange one is the smallest one, and it really gets that nice tight seal at the base of the cavity.
But we don't always use the wooden wedges. We tend to also use the plastic wedges that come with the Paladin kits or the Garrison kits as well. It's very situation based, but our practices usually have those, so these are the extra ones that we have.
Yeah.
So moving on, one little item that we have for endo is, I quite enjoy doing endo, and the file that I like to use is the R25. It's a reciproc file. So I just keep a whole bunch of these files, because usually with loads of other systems you have to use loads of different files, but in most cases,
I think they say 90% of cases.
Yeah, I can just go in with the R25,
yeah.
Of course, after opening the orifice and, you know, figuring out your glide path. But I just like these files, so I have some of these as well.
Next, we'll talk about the protective light cover that we have here. So the nice thing about this is that actually I like to use this whenever I'm doing bond ups in Invisalign. I also like to use it when I'm holding, I don't want my onlay to cure in the light. So actually once I've prepared my onlay for fit, then I'll put it underneath this light protective cover and prevent it from setting.
And another thing that we have is we keep these little syringes. We usually put glycerine in them, so we can do final light cure through glycerine for our composites, onlays, and things like that. These syringes, they're just nicer because they've got a bigger hole, so it's not like pushing it through an etch tip, basically.
Next here we have the titanium scaler. I occasionally use this for implants. It's important not to use these instruments if you don't actually know how to use them. You don't want to be going into a really healthy socket with a titanium scaler, a carbon fiber scaler, the wrong type of airflow unit. You need to be using very specific instruments when you're cleaning implants. This is just one of the things I own for that, but you can use things like Periomate for cleaning using airflow.
And another random thing we have is these glasses that we got from one of the BACD conferences that we went to.
I think.
Yeah, it's from Boutique. It's just black pair of glasses.
Yeah.
Nothing special.
No. Let's see what we have in here. These are actually indelible pencils, and you can use this to basically mark on teeth. You can use it to mark on the palate, and
we mainly use it when we're doing like anterior composites to kind of draw our line angles, but also it's helpful with crown preps, onlay preps. If you're trying to like literally draw your margins on where you want things to go, you can put little dots in your undercuts, make sure you've got rid of the undercuts so you can look in your mirror. Loads of random uses
loads
for
of
it.
different uses for it.
Kushal Gadia from Ace Course is a big believer of them.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
He really forced us to buy one and it's been fantastic.
Almost finished now. We've got a really small IPR gauge basically while you're doing Invisalign. And the last thing I have here is I got this little universal plug. It has USB-C, a lightning socket, and a micro USB port connected to a USB. I obviously put it into my little charger, and I have this little battery charger for my camera.
But yeah, guys, that's pretty much everything. You can see it all out on the table. It's a lot of stuff that we fit into this little box. What we're trying to get at is, with this video, I guess, is this is just the random stuff that we've compiled together. Each of you, if you start, making your unboxing, might be different. The reason we've done it is we're so blessed to be at practices that have pretty much everything. Like they have a lot of stuff, right?
We're just extra picky.
Exactly, and we don't
we want
to
very specific materials.
Yeah, we don't want to keep asking our principals, can you buy me this? Can you buy me that? Can you buy me this? If we're the only ones that are going to use it. So we're more than happy to just spend a little bit of money. And this is obviously, like we said, how many years? 2 years?
Yeah,
3
years
years.
or so.
So we didn't buy all of this in one go. Our box started off small and it's just kind of grown and gotten bigger.
Next year, you'll see me with a 23-kilogram suitcase.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But don't be afraid to buy your own stuff. Invest in yourself. We always say
that's the biggest lesson.
Buy your loops, buy your camera, buy your own equipment, whatever you need. You shouldn't have the excuse that my practice doesn't have this.
100%.
One of the first things that I bought was my own G2 bond. It cost me £150, but I've used it for tens of composites, like I don't know, 50, 60 composites. And you make your money back, guys. It's really worth it.
Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was really a video that I've been excited to share with you guys. And if there's anything you guys want to know where we bought it from, then just put it in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Take care, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.
See ya.